Hello and welcome to Exponentials 4.4, Logarithmic to Exponential. Alright, today we're going to solve for x, and x is going to be inside the parentheses, and the equations we're going to get are probably a little bit more complex, so hopefully not too bad, but yeah, it's going to get a little bit harder than before. So hopefully you're ready, and hopefully you remember my advice about switching forms so that we can make these problems a lot easier. Okay, so let's begin. So we're going to solve for x, and in this problem, x is stuck inside the parentheses, so therefore, to get him out of there, we're going to switch forms. Right now we're in log form, so we're going to switch to exponential form, and when that happens, you're going to write this as base 4 exponent 3 equals x, and then you just got to simplify, or not simplify, but you just got to figure out what 4 to the third power is, and when you do that, then you get x equals 64. Okay, so you want to check your answers for these problems. I know it doesn't really say it in the instructions for your handout, but you want to check your answers for one thing. And one thing that you want to check is to see that the number that we're going to put in the parentheses of the log is not negative. And if it's not negative, then we can assume that your answer is going to work as long as you feel confident in the computation that you did. So as long as you feel comfortable that you did 4 to the third power correctly, then you don't really have to plug it in if you don't want to. Just make sure it's not going to create a negative inside the parentheses, because if it does, then we have to exclude that answer. Okay, so I don't think a 64 is going to be a negative inside the parentheses, so therefore my answer for this problem is 64. Okay, all right, second problem. So we're going to solve for x, and once again he's stuck inside the parentheses, so we're going to change forms. We're going to change from log form to exponent form, so we're going to go 5 to the power of 2 equals 3x plus 7. Okay, and then we're going to start simplifying these numbers. So 5 squared, I hope you know it's 25, equals 3x plus 7. Okay, then we're going to subtract 7 on both sides to start getting the x by itself. So subtract 7 both sides. And we get 18 on the left side, and we get 3x on the right side. So one last thing to do, divide by 3 on both sides, and we get x equals 6. Okay, so all we're going to do is verify one thing. Does plugging in a 6 create a negative inside your parentheses? So let's try it. So we're going to plug the 6, right? We're going to put the 6 right here next to the x, and it's going to be 3 times 6, which is 18. And then 18 plus 7 is 25. And 25 is obviously a positive number, so therefore it's not going to create a situation where we have to exclude the answer 6, because remember I said we're not allowed to have negatives in the parentheses of a log, right? So since it's not a negative, then we're all good to go. So you're just going to trust that we solve for x correctly though. Okay, so a lot of trust there. So please don't make careless mistakes. Otherwise, yeah, if you guys keep on doing that, then you might want to actually check the answers legit. Okay, and then rework it to see if they equal each other on both sides. Okay, so next problem. We're going to switch forms again. So my base is 2. Oops. Okay, I'm in pencil mode, so how come I did it right? Okay, so my base is 2. My power is 4. And it's going to be equal to x squared minus 6x. Okay, so now it's going to get a little more complicated because we have x squared. So we're going to solve for quadratics eventually. So let's start simplifying what we got. So 2 to the 4th power is 16. Oops, why isn't it writing? There we go. Equals x squared minus 6x. Okay, and then since it's x squared, since we're solving quadratic, we want to keep x squared positive at all costs. And we want to get everybody on one side equal to 0 on the other side. So we're going to subtract 16 on both sides. Okay, and when that happens, we get x squared minus 6x minus 16 equals 0. So we're going to try to see if we can factor it. So are the two numbers that multiply to make negative 16 and add to make negative 6? And I believe there are two numbers that do that. It's going to be negative 8 and positive 2. Okay, and then when we solve for x, we're going to put equals 0 wherever I see a x. So equals 0 here, equals 0 there. So my left side answer is negative, or I'm sorry, not negative 8. My left side answer is 8. My right side answer is negative 2. So to check our answers, Yeah, we're going to just make sure that when I plug in 8 and negative 2, yeah, so we're going to plug in 8 into the equation x squared minus 6x. Okay, so when I plug in 8, I just got to make sure that I'm not going to create a negative. So let's do that. So 8 squared minus 6 times 8 becomes 64 minus 48 equals 16. So that's not a negative, so therefore 8 is good to go. So I can put 8 on my line as a legit answer. Okay, that's if we know we computed it correctly though. I mean, you don't want to do this technique and take all these shortcuts if you're unsure if you checked your answer. I'm sorry, if you computed your answer wrong. Okay, so if you're unsure, you gotta do a little bit more thorough checking. Okay, so now let's check negative 2. So negative 2, we're gonna plug it into x squared minus 6x. So we got negative 2 squared, because we're going to plug negative 2 everywhere I see x, minus 6 times negative 2. Okay, so that's going to give us 4 plus 12, and that's going to make a 16. Okay, and that's not a negative number, so therefore negative 2 seems also legit as well. So negative 2 comma 8, that's my two answers. Okay, all right, moving on. Number 3. Okay, so this one, if you notice by the directions, we don't have check your solution, because notice where my letter is. My letter that we're solving for in this problem, or these two problems, are my base value. We're not solving for a letter in the parentheses. So, yeah, we might actually get a negative number. We're probably not, but if we did, then it's no big deal. Okay, so let's do this. So we're still going to switch forms. So we're still going to go to exponent form. So we're going to write b, base b, to the 5th power equals 243. Okay, and then to get the b by itself, we're going to do 5th root radical of both sides. Okay, we're going to do the 5th root of both sides. And when I do the 5th root of both sides, remember now, since there's a 5 there, if I see 5 things that match perfectly, I can circle it, I can bring it outside, and yeah, then the symbol's going to go away. So I got 5 b's, which is going to get circled, which is going to get brought outside, so left side just turns into b. Oops, how come it's not writing? Okay, there we go. The right side, let's see, 243. I think I recognize that number as the result of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threes all multiplied together. Okay, so since 243 is the result of 5 threes all multiplied together, we can circle the 5 threes, and because they have 5 threes that match, they get to go outside. And my final answer for this problem is 3. Okay, and you're not required to check your answer for this because the number, as long as you guys computed correctly, then it should be good to go. Yeah, it's not going to be a situation like problems 1, 2, and 3 where we're not allowed to have negative numbers. Okay, so don't worry about that. Alright, so that's number 4. Okay, number 5. Still my letter that I'm going to solve for is a base, so I'm going to change forms. B to the negative 3 power equals 1 over 8. Okay, so I'm going to start taking advantage of my knowledge of exponents, and I'm going to say, okay, this negative says to the base b, you're going to go to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this as 1 over b to the 3rd equals 1 over 8. Okay, so when you see this, you can say this to yourself, okay, because they look very similar, they both have 1s on the top, right, and they're both equal to each other. The only thing setting them apart from each other is one side says b to the 3rd, the other side says 8. Okay, so I'm going to ignore the fraction for now because, like I said, yeah, they both have the exact same, I guess, appearance, right? They're both fractions. They both have a 1 on the top. The only difference is left side has b to the 3rd, right side has 8. So I'm just going to ignore the 1s that are on the top, and I'm just going to focus on b to the 3rd equals 8. And I'm going to solve it just like I did problem 4. I'm going to take the cube root of both sides to get the b by itself. And let's see what I get as my answer. So, since it's a cube root, we're going to look for 3 things that match. And if I find them, they're going to get circled. They're going to get pulled on the outside. So, left side's going to become a b. Right side, I'm going to rewrite this guy as 2 times 2 times 2. Because that's what 8 is made up of, right? 3 2's all multiplied together. So, I'm going to circle 3 things that match. I got 3 2's that match perfectly. So they're going to get circled, they're going to go on the outside, and b equals 2. Okay, and there you go. Alright, so you are going to get a problem that looks like number 5 on your homework tonight. So be aware of it, and be sure to, I guess, remember that you want to look back at number 5 when you guys get to that problem on your homework tonight that looks just like this. Okay? Alright, moving on. Alright, also in this lesson, we're going to learn about what is called a natural logarithm. And a natural logarithm is going to be a logarithm that is going to come across a lot. Like if you keep on doing science and math courses, you're going to see a natural logarithm, which is a logarithm that has a base e. And you'd be like, base e, isn't it supposed to be a number? And you're just going to think of it this way. Pi is a number. It's a symbol, rather. Well, it's a number also, yeah. That is very connected to the circle. Okay? And because we studied a lot of circles in geometry, you guys learned about the symbol pi, and that it has a decimal value as well. Okay, a really, really, really long decimal value. Okay, so just like in this course, you're going to come across the symbol E, which stands for the natural base. And it's also, I guess, used a lot in science, because when scientists were discovering things and looking for patterns, they saw this one number starting to appear a lot. So they gave it a name and they called it the natural base. Yeah, pretty sure that's what they called it. Okay, and yeah, we're going to start seeing it in logarithms now. So if you ever see a log base e, you might see it replaced with the letters ln. Okay, so they're kind of interchangeable. So log base e, ln, they're going to be interchangeable. So you're going to see me do that in some of the problems right now. All right. Okay, oh, this slide, sorry. Okay, this slide, you want to actually look for the button called ln on your calculator and actually push it. Okay, and push ln, hit 32, close the parentheses, and see if you can get the exact same decimal values that you see on the screen now. Okay, so start to get used to getting the hang of where this button is. All right, and if you can identify where this button is, then when you got to use it, you won't have to like panic and say, "Whoa, where'd the button go?" Yeah, you will know it's right there. Okay, so practice getting those numbers in your screen, and yeah, get to know this button on your calculator really well. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here we go. Let's do it. Now we're going to do the exact same thing as problems 1, 2, and 3. We're going to solve for x, which is inside the parentheses. So you got to remember, we don't want to have x values that eventually lead to a negative inside the parentheses. So just keep that in mind. All right. Okay, so rather than going straight to exponent form, we're going to rewrite this guy as, and let's see, where can I rewrite it so I can save some space on the bottom? I'm going to rewrite him as log base e of 2x minus 7 equals negative 3. Okay, so here's what you got to understand, right? ln and log base e are the same thing. The only reason why I wrote it like this is because when I change it to exponent form, I can see that, yep, my base is actually e, so I'm going to write an e. My power is negative 3, and it's going to be equal to 2x minus 7. Okay? All right, so we're going to solve for e. So we're going to solve for x rather, and we're going to get x by itself. So you're going to add 7 on both sides, and be very careful with the left side now. Okay, you got to remember your rules about like terms. So if they're not the same, then you cannot add them or subtract them together. Okay, so you got e to the negative 3 plus 7 equals 2x. Okay, then you want to keep on solving for x, so you're going to divide by 2 next. So divide by 2, and you're going to get x equals e to the negative 3 power plus 7 over 2. Okay, and now comes the exciting part. Okay, you guys have wished for a calculator all year long, and now you guys got it. So now we got to use it to get this answer. Okay, so please be very careful about the order that you punch these things in, because order of operations really, really is important. Okay, so there's actually a parentheses that you want to be aware of in this fraction that I just wrote, and the parentheses is here because with this division problem where you have e to the negative 3 power plus 7, okay, before you divide by 2, you gotta combine everything on the top first. Okay, so everything on the top needs to be combined first, and that's why I'm going to put it in parentheses so that you work on everything on the top first. So you're going to punch in your calculator e to the negative 3 power. Then you're going to hit plus 7. Then you're going to hit divide by 2. And then you're going to get your answer. Okay? So you don't want to try to type this out on your screen all at once. I mean, some of your calculators are really good and are really advanced. You can actually type this on your screen all at once. But a lot of you guys don't have the really expensive calculators, so therefore you want to take this piece by piece. Okay? So I'm gonna do this on my calculator. I'm gonna do it slowly so that you guys can see how it unfolds. So you're gonna hit E, and first of all, you're gonna be like, where is E? Yeah, so you gotta, if on your calculator you probably have this, you're gonna hit second or shift, and you're probably gonna hit the button that says LN. And when you do that, you're gonna access the natural base. So it's gonna probably look like this on your screen, E with the little caret or the arrow pointing upwards. Okay, so I'll kind of write that on the side. So you'll see this in your screen. E with a caret, yeah, or an arrow pointing up, and you'll see the open parentheses. And inside that open parentheses, you want to put a -3. So be careful with this too. Make sure you hit the negative sign, not the minus sign, because some of your calculators, they have two separate buttons, one for a minus, one for a subtract, one for a negative sign. So be very careful. So you're gonna hit -3. You're gonna close the parentheses. You're gonna hit enter, and you're gonna get a big decimal. Okay, so if on your screen you see this 0. Okay, I'm going to start writing it down actually. Okay, 0.0497 87068. Okay, so don't erase this number from your screen. Keep it on there. Okay, but I just wrote it down here so that you guys can keep track of, are you pushing the numbers correctly on your screen. So if you're not getting this decimal number on your screen, then you put e to the -3 power onto your calculator wrong. Okay, so leave this number on your screen and then just hit +7. So when you hit +7, this is going to be on your screen next. It's going to probably say ANS, answer, +7. Okay, and when you do that, you're going to hit enter, and now you're going to have 7.0497 87068. Okay, do not hit clear. Just leave this answer, this number on your screen. Okay, then everything on the top has now been done, right? We did the e to the -3 power, we hit the +7, so now all that's left is divide by 2. So like I said, leave this 7.0497 number on your screen, just hit divide, and now it's going to say this on your screen. So it's going to go ANS, answer, and then you're going to hit divide by 2. Okay, and when you hit divide by 2, you're going to hit enter, and you're going to get the final answer for this problem, which I'm going to write next to the x on this left side. So you're going to get 3.5248, and I'm going to look at my fifth decimal, which is a 9, and that 9 is going to make some rounding happen. So when the rounding happens, I'm going to rewrite this guy as 3.5249. Okay, so make sure you have this as your answer. Okay, so it's going to say in the instructions, round your answer accurate to 4 decimal places. And if you look at the fifth decimal and it says to round it, then you make sure you round your fourth decimal. Okay? All right, so let's check our answer and let's see if it caused us to get a negative in the parentheses. Okay, so let's check it out. So we got our number 3.5249. Okay, so let's punch in 3.5249. And we're gonna plug it in right here, yeah. So when I'm talking right now, I'm plugging in the 3.5249 in the number in the parentheses, the 2x minus 7. So I'm gonna times it by 2. Then I'm gonna subtract 7, and I get 0.0498, which is still positive. So therefore, this answer is legit. Okay, this answer is good to go because yeah, it didn't create a negative when I multiplied it by 2 and I subtracted 7. So it's good to go. Okay. All right, next problem. So same thing, I'm going to rewrite this problem as log base e of x squared plus 5 equals 3. Okay, so this is probably going to be the hardest problem of this video because we got x squared trapped in the parentheses. So we're going to do our normal thing. We're going to go e, right, base e, power 3 equals x squared plus 5. Okay, all right, so then we're going to start. Okay, so this is where it's going to be different. We're not going to get everybody on one side equal to 0, and we're not going to try to keep x squared positive because yeah, you're going to realize that you don't want to do factoring with e to the third power. You don't want to do quad formula with e to the third power. And you definitely don't want to do complete the square with e to the third power. So you're just going to solve for x by getting rid of everything connected to the x. So when that happens, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to send 5 to the other side. And when that happens, we get x squared. So I'm going to actually put the x squared on the left side already. So x squared equals e to the third power minus 5. Okay? And then to get the squared to go away, we're going to square root both sides. And hopefully you remember from lessons in the past where when I square root both sides, we got to put plus minus right next to that square root. So we get x equals plus or minus the square root of e to the third minus 5. Okay. All right. So now comes a really, really hard thing to punch into your calculator. Okay? Because not only do we have to do e to the third minus 5, we got to put the result of e to the third minus 5 into a square root, which takes some button pushing, yeah, on your calculator. So let's go for it. All right. So first thing you want to do is e to the third. So I'll show you what we get when you do e to the third. So actually, let me change the color so it doesn't run into the other problems. So e to the third. So when you punch it into your calculator, you're going to get this. So e to the third, and you're going to get 20.0855 3692. Okay, all right. And then you're going to subtract 5. Okay, so don't clear this number from the screen. Do not do that. So subtract 5, so hit the minus sign and put minus 5. So now you're going to have this on your screen. You're going to have A and S, answer, minus 5. Okay, and when you hit enter, you're going to get 15.08553692. Okay, so that's what you're going to get next. So now comes the really tricky part. Okay, so this part is going to require some button pushing that or using of the features that you probably never used before in your calculator. So you want to actually store this value onto your calculator. So depending on what kind of calculator you have, so I'm just going to give you the instructions for the most common calculator that most people have, which is a Texas Instruments TI-30X2S, Roman numeral 2S. Okay, this is a very, very common calculator that a lot of students have. So you're going to store this 15.08553692 number in your calculator. So you're going to go to the store button, STO. So you want to look for this button, STO. And it's right next to the 1 and the 4, to the left of the 1 and the 4. So you want to push that button, and then you're going to see on your screen with an arrow pointing to the right, and you'll see A, B, C, D, E. So hopefully your cursor is underneath the A. I mean, if it's underneath the B, that's fine. If it's underneath the C, that's fine. But just leave it under the A, because then you're telling the calculator where you want to store 15.08553692. So if the cursor is under the A, hit enter. And then you're going to store that 15 number into slot A. So I hit enter. So when you hit enter, it's going to say answer with the arrow key pointing to the right and A. So it's telling you it stored that number into storage unit A. Okay? Alright, so you can clear your screen because that number has been saved. Yeah, so you stored it into A. Yeah, and you're not going to see store with the arrow equals and then an A. You're going to see answer right arrow A. Yeah, but I'm just telling us that's what we're doing. We're storing it in A. Okay, so you want to hit this next button. You want to hit square root. So when you hit square root, you're going to hit second to access the square root button. And this is going to be on your screen now, the square root button with the open parentheses. And now you want to recall the number from storage. You want to bring it out of storage. So you're going to go and access the exact same store button, except before you hit store, STO, you're going to hit second. So you hit second first, then you hit store, and then it's going to say, okay, where did you want to recall the number from? Do you want to recall it from slot A, slot B, slot D, or slot E? So you make sure your cursor is underneath the A, and when you have the proper letter underlined, which I hope is A, hope you didn't put it into B, C, D, or E. Yeah, I mean, you can still get it, but I mean, if you want to follow my example, leave it under A. Okay, so you have it hopefully stored in slot A, and you're going to hit enter. and then it's gonna put the number inside the radical. Yeah, it's gonna put the number in the radical, and then you're gonna hit enter, and you're gonna get this as your answer: 3.88401. 88401. So if you're wondering why did I write 5 decimals, because the 5th decimal is going to be used to tell me what the 4th decimal is going to do. Is the 0 going to stay a 0, or is that 0 going to become a 1? So since my 5th number is a 1, my answer rounds to 3.8840. Okay, so I'm going to go to the side here, and I'm going to write x equals 3 point, or plus minus rather, sorry, 3 plus minus 3.8840. Okay. All right, and to check your answer, checking your answer is actually easy, because since this number that we're going to plug in is going to be squared right away, yeah, even if I put negative 3.8840, since it's going to be squared, the negative 3.8840 is going to become positive anyway. So there's no chance that my number is going to ever turn negative, so therefore my entire 2 answers, plus or minus 3.8840, is my final answer. Okay, so I know using the calculator is probably giving you some stress right now. You're probably like, what just happened? How did he get all these numbers? Yeah, just replay this video as many times as you need. Okay, hopefully I went slow enough, and I described what buttons you're gonna push. I mean, I didn't write down everything. I'm sorry about that, but not everybody has the same calculator, so hopefully you can just use the process that I did and try to tweak it for the calculator that you guys have. Okay, and if you guys are still stuck, ask me in class what buttons to push based on what calculator you have. Okay, all right, so good luck on this assignment, and yeah, I'll see you in class. Bye-bye.